Presenting! You might be a vet student if 3.
You might be a vet student if you've read all the James Herriot books and seen the series more than once.
You might be a vet student if you've ever practiced your modified Miller's knot on an obscure object, like a Nerf bullet.
You might be a vet student if you definitely know what to do if you see vesicular lesions on a ruminant. Even if you're a small animal tracker like me.
You might be a vet student if you know why you need to get to at least 80% on vet prep.
You might be a vet student if you've cut the sleeve off of a hoodie.
You might be a vet student if you hear Doc Halo in your sleep.
If you had strong opinions about the National Dog Show winner.
If the only time you leave the hospital is when you're on an ambulatory service.
If you know the difference between potassium penicillin and procaine penicillin.
If the only thing faster than the speed of light is your typing abilities on a lunch and learn spreadsheet, you might be a vet student.
You might be a vet student if you have quite the collection of pens from companies that are trying to recruit you.
You might be a vet student if you know all about the different kinds of rat poisons.
You might be a vet student if you've ever had this conversation. Oh, you're gonna be a vet? I love Dr. Pole.
You might be a vet student if you've worn someone else's lab coat at some point because you forgot yours.
You might be a vet student if every time you see your cat getting a drink out of his or her water bowl, you're convinced they're going into chronic kidney failure and feel the need to check a urine-specific gravity. You know all about that, don't you, Sam?
You might be a vet student if you're worried about testing positive for COVID while on clinics and having to make up the rotation later. Unless you're on a food animal rotation, then you're worried about testing positive for crypto and having to make up the rotation later.
If you're still not sure you've ever seen a basophil.
If you've won a bovine palpation competition.
If you know what the bovine palpation competition is.
If you dread the day your free vet membership runs out.
If you know what the only drug labeled for pain control in ruminants is.
If you've accidentally wasted an entire tube of Ulcer by squirting it on the ground, you might be a vet student.
You might be a vet student if you know the medical reason that you should keep a bottle of Everclear in the hospital.
You might be a vet student if you know what hyponatremia and hyperkalemia with azotemia can be.
If you know why donuts and railroad tracks go together.
If you know the difference between bog spavin and bone spavin.
If you've ever filled out a Royal Canin Knowledge Week bingo card to win a prize, you might be a vet student.
You might be a vet student if you had to consume most of a bottle of Pepto-Bismol before your first surgery and your napoli.
You might be a vet student if you know the active ingredient in Pepto-Bismol and its indications for use in neonatal calf diarrhea.
You might be a vet student if you know what breed is most overrepresented in Fanconi syndrome.
If you've scoped out the best bathrooms to cry in around the hospital.
If you have an absurd acronym for the causes of hypercalcemia.
If you've ever listened to a song about reading soundness exam in Rams.
If you've ever felt personally victimized by the way some people pronounce the word metronidazole.
If you have a countdown to graduation on your phone.
Listen, if you've made it through 3 of these videos now, you are definitely a vet student. But not for long, because graduation is in 96 days, 6 hours, 35
today.
Your husband won't let you sing the Ram BSE song in public. You might be a vet student.
No.
Forgot yours.
He is so mad at me right now.
You might be a vet student if every time you see your cat... Bless you.